We also learned from the letters that many other people loved and cherished her. But what was so striking is that many had vivid dreams about her, even 1 or 2.5 years later, where they swore she was present in their room and talking to her directly. We had that experience the first year, but now when we come to decision points in our life, we just listen for her to influence us. And somehow the answer always seems to appear, and it helps us greatly in our decision making. One letter said that she had tremendous moral courage and also possessed a deep conviction to serve humanity. Judge David Ager, the municipal court judge in Chillicothe, said, who adored Annie and admired her greatly, everybody wanted to be like her, but they just couldn't figure out how to do it. But this has happened to so many other families. Since her death, there have been several hundred deaths from drunk driving that could have been prevented in the state of Ohio. And I think the thing I regret the most about the fact that we didn't get it passed in 2014 is that we continue to lose lives over the last 2 years, unnecessarily so. And I think of all the suffering the families have experienced, not to mention the injuries and the pain that caused. So we joined up with MAD to stop the unnecessary killing and dying. Overwhelming evidence, as I mentioned before, has shown that interlock ignition devices with a breathalyzer saves lives, unquestionably. 27 states have the statistics. And all the institutions that look at this, like the Center for Disease Control, the National Highway Transportation Safety Board, the National Safety Transportation Board, the American Automobile Association, many auto companies, all confirm. There's no disagreement in the scientific literature about this at all. The other thing that we encountered was that ingrained in our culture was the idea that the use of the breathalyzers somehow were a punishment and a shaming device. And yet, in looking at it from the medical point of view, it's a safety device. And all the doctors who came on board and endorsed this, with the Ohio State Medical Association, the Ohio Neurosurgical Association, all take the approach that this is a safety device. And in surgery, we go to great lengths to ensure safety at every step of the way. And it just was a puzzle to us when there was such overwhelming evidence of the impact of this safety device that there would be so much hesitancy about endorsing it. She was the most gifted person, as I said, that I have ever known. And I go into a room and talk to her every morning and tell her how much I love her and pray. And then the wind chimes on the porch next to her window will blow sometimes even without any wind at all. And I get the overwhelming sense that she is talking to me. Our family's world changed forever that Friday on July 14th when we were visited by 2 patrolmen at 9:30 p.m. We couldn't find it. Told us there was an accident, but we couldn't find out whether she was alive or not. She was at the hospital. We rushed there and found her neurologically inert, but with a heart beating and tubes and monitors everywhere. She had been trapped here for an hour, crushed. Initially she was conscious, but over the course of the hour, as they desperately fought to extract her, her consciousness faded. And when she arrived in the hospital ER, she was in full ER arrest with massive injuries in the abdomen and crushed chest and broken ribs, which I think was probably most immediate cause of her death. It was raining, so we put her in an EMT van and had a wild ride to Columbus to the Wexner Trauma Center. And that was one of the most difficult experiences I've ever had. Her heart worked well until about 10 minutes out, and then its performance began to fade. And when they got her in the emergency room, she had 2 further cardiac arrests that could not be resuscitated, and she was pronounced dead. She was killed by a drunk driver who was speeding, running red lights. The car lights were off, weaving erratically in town. He was chased out of town by an off-duty policeman, but who backed off when the speeds got too high because he had his young children in the car and he feared for the safety of his own young children. She had many DUI episodes, convictions, accidents dating back to 1999, and they had never been adequately addressed. And if this law had been in place, this would not have happened. We would still have our wonderful Annie. Annie was going 40 miles an hour, coming back with a bicycle that she was going to run in a race on Saturday, July the 15th here in Columbus. The car that hit her was going 90 miles an hour, drove into her 3/4 head on, flipped in the air. There were witnesses to this, cars following. And the car that killed her caught on fire. They extracted the person in it. And that person survived and is incarcerated as we speak. But this shattered our lives. We were so close to Annie, who shared her life adventure with us. And I know that someday when we get to heaven, we're going to say to her, Annie, we love you so very, very much. I'm sorry I didn't get to say goodbye. I'm sorry this happened to you. She knows, we know, that she will ask us, what happened to me and what did you do about it? Well, what we did about it is Annie's law.